Sports World.
It takes a good horse to win the Inter-Dominion final, but a real special one to win consecutive championships. Until last night, only two had achieved that feat in history. Now New South Wales pacer Al Sir Vancelot has added his name to the list, toying with his rivals in last night's classic at the Royal Showgrounds in Hobart.
Short trying to get off the inside, making ground from Quantum Lobel. Late bid getting up along the fence and further back then Ataturk. Sam Malone's had enough and Anvil Vance is very wide, but Al Sir Vancelot, I think he's got them covered. Around the home turn he zips about 4 metres to try a fluke. Further back to Bradshaw. Late bid getting up on the inside. Then Captain Rufus. But ladies and gentlemen, Al Sir Vancelot is going to absolutely brain them. Oh, the defending champion, an absolute champion. Al Sir Vancelot beats Try a Fluke and Late Bid.
Yes, absolute champion. That's our word for the day, isn't it, Bruce? Yeah, champion.
All those little ones out watching us right now. You'll be back later, Kylie.
I sure will.
Thank you very much. Kylie Gillies there. A break. After the break, Tony Dottermaid, Keith Stackpole. We talk about the Sheffield Shield final and a bit more. Dean Jones still in the news in Melbourne. Welcome back. You can see Max alongside of me. Keith is in Melbourne, as always. Keith, what a race yesterday in the Moonee Valley Oaks. Welcome.
Oh, welcome. Also, Bruce, nice to be with you. It was a race for the first time in Australia, a dead heat in $1 million race with Champagne from New Zealand, Kensington Palace, Australia, two top-class fillies. Champagne was a little unlucky. She got buffeted and Danny Brereton on La Volta was suspended for causing that interference. She probably should have won outright.
More about that in a moment. Max, you also had plenty of drama in more ways than one at Rose Hill yesterday.
Yes, well, Jim Cassidy received yet another stretch. It's been quite a week for Jim Cassidy. My advice to Jim would be to see if he could do some sort of plea bargaining. Say, well, look, let me go on a 2-month holiday and I'll come back. Let's wipe the slate clean, because there's obviously friction between him and Jack Denham, and I think a holiday, a bit of fishing would do Jim the world. It would come back refreshed.
Whose seat is he aiming at, Max? Yours or mine?
Well, that's all right. But nevertheless, put it this way, I think he would prefer, certainly with no disrespect to you, Keith, he would prefer to hold a fishing line than to be looking at you.
Might and Power, who will ride him in the Mercedes and those big races? Who'd be the first emergency for Jim Cassidy, do you reckon?
Well, Jack Denham doesn't confide in me, and I just wonder whether Larry might come into contention.
His brother.
There.
His brother.
Larry certainly has been picked up by the Denham stable for the Golden Slipper, and I think they'd probably be looking at Larry. But there again, Jack will come up with another jockey. He's been through just about every one in Australia now. He's probably seeking new ground.
Well, let's have a look at the Ranvet. It was a most interesting race, a fascinating ride by Cassidy. Stop-start tactics, left, right and centre. He was quickened up early, then got a big lead and then put the brakes on. I think he overdid it slightly.
No, I think he was basically riding to instructions. He's had to half-nurse the horse. Don't forget, Bruce, that this is not a hard-fit horse. This is a horse that's missed a week's work, and that's vital. That's what cost him the race.
Well, the pace was on all the way. Gold Guru's a terrific stayer, and Dane Ripper, well, Keith might have been right last week.
Downs takes a narrow lead from Might and Power. A length away into Gaze running on. Gold Guru pulled to the outside. York is looking for a passage on Delinquent as they come down to the 200. Might and Power fighting back, got his head in front again. On the outside is Gold Guru. Delinquent blocked for a run. Vitronitis getting up near the fence. Gold Guru hits the lead. Might and Power coming again. Gold Guru too good though, and Gold Guru coming away on the line beat Might and Power.
He's going to go for the Mercedes Gold Guru and then maybe the Derby. Things have changed, haven't they? You'd think as a 3-year-old the Derby would be the one.
Yes, but certainly you've got to take into consideration the tempo of that race. That was a stayer's race. You see Delinquent running such a good race. Now, Dane Ripper beat Delinquent by 4 lengths last start in the Australian Cup. Dane Ripper, well, I thought definitely she was disappointing. The question has been posed whether Dane Ripper is as good in Sydney as she is in Melbourne. Bart Cummings said, well, is Stephen King the rider? But I certainly can't blame Stephen King for the defeat of Dane Ripper yesterday. She just didn't fire. The hard tempo, she was never really travelling. She was never going to get into the race.
Gold Guru, probably unfairly, has been in the shadows. When we look at his form card now, he's had 5 starts at 2,000 metres or beyond for 4 wins and a pretty good run in the Victoria Derby. He's made it to the top level now, hasn't he?
He has. And when you said Dane Ripper you think might be an opportunist, do you know what you meant when you said that?
Yes, because as Max described yesterday's race, Bruce, as a staying test, that's where she was found out. And the other races, no pace. She's got rapid acceleration. She was able to use it and pinch a couple of races. But mind you, you've got to have some ability to do that. But when the chips are down, I just think she's a little bit short of what's needed.
Let's go to the Moonee Valley Oaks. There's plenty to talk about here. As Keith said, Champagne may have been a bit stiff, but boy, Kensington Palace gets to the line like a real cups horse.
A length and a half to Gliding Light on the inside, then Snow Beauty. Kensington Palace Hall still hasn't gone on her, followed by Welcome Aboard, Protege and Lahar when they came past the 600. And Spot of Magic, only 3 lengths, Lavolta and Champagne called on for the run. 2 lengths Gliding Light and 2 lengths away Kensington Palace. Now she's asked to go and she's starting to hit top gear. Spot of Magic only a length in front. Champagne's claiming her quickly with Lavolta. And 3 lengths back then came Kensington Palace and Gliding Light. Champagne took the lead on the home turn and dashed a length in front of Spot of Magic and Lavolta. Kensington Palace coming down the outside. Champagne with a good lead. She's more than 2 lengths in front of Kensington Palace and Lavolta. Champagne in front. Kensington Palace is flashing home when it's all over. Too late, I think. I reckon Champagne knows Kensington Palace.
I think we all thought it, Keith. What a finish.
Well, it was, and I think all callers on the day when they saw the freeze frame said, oh, look, just set those words on the back burner. Kensington Palace, Bruce, she was a long way back, but she was heavily ridden, hard ridden for a long way also. She's a grinder. That's why, as the distances get further, she'll get better. I think she'll win the AJC Derby.
Do you?
Yes,
Gee,
I do.
if she beats Gold Guru, we'll have a little side wager on that later on.
There are others in the AJC Derby. Vitronite ran a nice race yesterday. I'm not saying Vitronite's got quite the class to win the race, but he'll certainly be very competitive. And we were starting to think that the Sydney 3-year-olds were perhaps not up to standard. Maybe they're not, but Gold Guru comes from South Australia, not Melbourne. It'd be nice, Keith, for Melbourne to win a race. And another point, $1 million for that race yesterday. A trifle overvalued, let's say, call it $500,000. Don't you think it would have been just as good a race?
It's strange, isn't it, that it was a listed race only, and the Coolmore at Rose Hill was a Group 1 for $300,000.
Yeah, but you can't buy black type status. I know Brian Beattie and your team down there think you can buy everything on poker machine money, but you've got to earn black type status. The Coolmore has, the Oaks at Moonee Valley hasn't.
OK, but one thing you've got to say, $100,000 for this race yesterday that Laurie's Lottery won. 68,000 first prize is ridiculous. This is the Todman, by the way, we're talking about. And here's Laurie's Lottery with Alf.
Laurie's Lottery, Alf is a narrow leader, electrifying in 3rd place, followed by St Plato, who's pushing clear of a pocket at the 200 though, and Laurie's Lottery headed Alf, who's not done with. He's coming again there, well clear of St Plato. Laurie's Lottery and Alf are having a 2-horse war. It's Alf on the inside, Laurie's Lottery. Alf shifted out, they're close together. They bumped a couple of times. To the line they come, Alf and Laurie's Lottery. Oh gosh, it's close. Alf on the inside has kicked. Don't know, it's a head bobber.
Keith keeps the time, so he's told me we've got 10 seconds left in this segment. You're in trouble. Well, you can't answer it. Manana won very well, and she's one of the favourites for the Golden Slipper.
At this stage, I don't think we saw the Golden Slipper winner yesterday, Bruce. We've got Chavog going around at Kembla Grange on Thursday. Of course, Keith doesn't want Chavog, but I still think it's a wide-open slipper, and I can't recall a slipper going into a slipper at this stage of the season where there are so many chances.
Keith?
OK, now, compulsion will stay in contention. Special edition may run.
Good on you, mate. We're out of time, as you well know. See you next week, Max. You too, Keith.
Thanks, Bruce.
We'll take a break. We'll be back with more on Sportsworld after this.
Tackle box is empty now. The heart of Kelly's country clean.
I I'm still in a state of shock that it's happened to me.
Like the steam trains have disappeared, pelicans glide. $8